We're about to start the 10:30 a.m. turn here in their quiet fields, the Battle of Antietam. Now will be the 11th game turn out of 26. Yes, out of 26. So heading up to the halfway mark. It's taken me about a week of play and sort of playing on and off in odd moments, a turn at a time. The last video I said it took me an hour to do each a player turn. Now it's taking more like an hour for a whole turn, so both player sides. You're seeing most of the action here. If I pull out a bit, you can see that this is really where everything is happening. There's nothing much going on down here. This is just the army supply. So you can see pretty much the extent of what is going on in shot. And essentially what has happened is, I'm recording this point because we've reached a lull in the fighting. Mansfield's 12th Corps received attack stoppage, so they'd taken a couple of, I think they only had one division that was wrecked, but they rolled 2 on 2d6, or no, it was 3 I think, but he's quite a low rating leader, so he decided to withdraw, even though he was pressing quite successfully, but he was facing up against this whole line here. So he was essentially moving up through here, while Hooker's 5th Corps was moving up through here. Mansfield withdrew, so now he's become uncommitted. He's formed a defensive line here, and these red markers indicate they are attempting straggler recovery. So every other turn, every hour, there's a chance that they can gain between 0 and 2 stragglers. So consequently, Hooker, he hasn't had attack stoppage, but he's paused. So he hasn't withdrawn. Well, he did withdraw some units back here that were really badly beat up. But he had one unit there, which was the furthest extent he got. This is the furthest he got on this side, and this artillery was supporting. The unit here actually routed out. So he didn't withdraw it willingly, but so he's stopped. With Mansfield having halted, it's forced a halt for Hooker. He's got a brigade here, and artillery here. He's also got more artillery. No, sorry, yeah, so that's Hooker's artillery, and he's got artillery brigades here. The rest have withdrawn to recover stragglers, but he has some assistance. So McClellan was very fortunate in that he had reinforcements arriving in terms of the 6th Corps up here, and he ran up to give the commander, which is it, what's he called, Slocum? No, he's a division commander. Franklin is a 6th Corps commander. Gave him an order to launch attack down where Mansfield was, down the Smoker Town Road, and that was accepted immediately. So this corps moved straight in as reinforcements into the attack. These are their artillery here, that's their supply, there's the commander and his infantry brigades. 2 or 3 divisions are moving a bit more slowly to attack down the road here. So they haven't arrived yet, so with that natural lull, Jackson ordered Lawton, who was out on a limb here. If you remember, he'd moved up, he'd almost took the eastwards and then was knocked back on attack stoppage himself, and so he's sort of frozen in place here. He was ordered right back to here to defend in the vicinity of Reef Farm here, or Real Farm here. So he's kind of going to perform a backstop in case this line breaks on its way to defence of Sharpsburg. The cavalry have moved up. They, if you remember, they were threatening the rear and supply here, but they just weren't strong enough on their own to do any good. What with Hooker had kept a whole division to defend against that. So they thought they could sit there and maybe just hold that division back. They thought that they were better served to support the artillery because there was Confederate artillery alone on the ridge here. So they moved up here. And then we've had some redressing of lines essentially here. Hood withdrew from corps stoppage, surprisingly, withdrew himself back to here. Jackson wasn't too happy about that, but it didn't matter as it happened because the attack there stalled. So Longstreet's done nothing. He's just sat there waiting with most of his First Corps, but he's holding a very important dog's leg there. So McClellan's left with 2 Corps and the cavalry division here, back over the Antietam Creek. So we got the Porter with the 5th Corps and Sumner with the 2nd Corps here. Over here, Burnside has fully committed himself, agreed with, after a bit of delay with McClellan's command to him to cross the bridge here, and I ordered him to take the heights here and here. I'm wishing now I'd been a bit more ambitious and ordered him on to Sharpsburg, for example, or down towards the Potomac here. Because he quite quickly took those heights, even though Jones and Walker had no orders, and Lee was too busy considering about this and ordering up arriving divisions to give them orders, so that they had to defend in place without any orders. And in fact, basically, there was a good stop gap here, which held them, but then the heights were taken. So these units are a bit out on a limb. Walker's has retreated his units here. He himself is here because he can't move until he has orders. So, but he then put his brigades too close to the artillery, and a strong division up on the ridge there. So we've got a division here, we got another division here, but with a spirited defence from here, joined by 1st Corps artillery, which was sent up, in fact, by Longstreet. One of the things that he did do, has managed to rout 2 brigades of Burnside's back over the bridge. Now Burnside, although he's following his orders, he's is a bit perturbed. If he had orders to sort of carry on moving down here, he could quite effectively threaten the rear area of. So there's 5 victory points there, 5 there. Sharpsburg would probably be too big a thing, but he could move on these, and it could cause a withdrawal of the whole army. So he's only got a very weak division facing him there, and then this one on his flank. Now, but Anderson's division came up, and Lee quickly moved out and ordered him up, and has ordered him over Mayor's Ford here, and to attack and claim the bridge from this side of the Antietam Creek. So effectively the idea is to isolate Burnside's corps and or spoil his attack across the bridge there. So the idea, Anderson's orders are to take the bridge, but effectively he's just going to be he's a fairly strong division, a very strong division for the Confederates, but he's facing a division. He has no artillery. He's facing some artillery, a battery and a division of Burnside's there, but that is going to cause Burnside concern, because if he's given orders to move, as McClellan, I would have wanted to have given orders to move out here. But with that in the rear, then McClellan's probably going to have to order the 2nd Corps to go and deal with Anderson's division to free up Burnside to move across. Or Burnside could hold Anderson's division and those heights, and the 2nd Corps could move over the bridge Burnside's taken and threaten the line back there. So that is the situation we are on at the moment. But we've got a very interesting situation in terms of losses. So we've got 37 strength points of losses for the Confederates against 51 for the Union. So in terms of victory points, I think that's going to be about equal. Let me just check. So the Union loss is 51. That's 5 victory point loss, and the Confederate is 27. Yeah, so it's within 5 victory points. So they're both at the sort of agreed levels within the game turns to sort of balance each other out, and so no, McClellan hasn't gained any of the victory points over here. He does have, I believe, Burnside's bridges. Is it? No, I don't think it's actually worth any. No, I think about it. Yes, no, it's worth 5. Okay, so he's got 5 victory points for that, but he's been quite busy, and he's activated quite a few corps. So he's now got 1, 2, 3 corps, and there were 4 corps activated, but Mansfield withdrew himself. So that's been accruing what McClellan points, which are sort of minus victory points to the Union at the end, and he's got 25 of those. He started with 6, so you subtract that 5 from it, so he's on minus 20. Now the level of victory at the moment is a minor rebel victory, so McClellan has to do something clever to gain any kind of victory at the moment. The lull is giving us a chance to reconsider, but McClellan can't sit on the lull, because he will lose he will lose a couple of McClellan points, i.e. victory points, for every half hour in which he's got those activated corps, and if he activates more, he'll lose another 1 or 2 more. So it was looking semi-critical here for a time. If Mansfield had not withdrawn, there was a chance that the Confederate line could have been breached. It wasn't looking dire, though, I have to say, because although the Union have knocked out 3 complete Confederate brigades, so the amount of brigades they have has been quite whittled down. There's one, the Iron Brigade of the Union has been completely wiped out. The Confederates, what they have left, they've got enough artillery and enough morale that although these brigades are very big and still sort of in action, they haven't managed to push through. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens now that the 6th Corps has come in. They're not going to attack the sunken road. Again, they're going to go down here. So I'm trying to take the church and then sweep the woods too. No, I forgot. Now that the Confederates withdrew from here, there's no one contesting the cornfield. So that can be considered 1 for the Union. So we're on minus 17, which is still my rebel victory. If we get down to minus 8, it would be minus 7. It would be a draw, and we need at least 2 victory points for a minor Union victory. So essentially, what this all means is, if they break through this line here, that will get kind of them 7 more points, which can bring them to that draw, and then they're going to have to take either Sharpsburg or these 2 for 13 or 10 victory points. Then they will leave the sunken line behind. So, and I think Sharpsburg is going to be the harder, because obviously the Confederate are closer, so they're going to make McClellan order someone to take these points, and then see how Lee is able to respond to that and what he does, considering that is his accepted line of retreat. We'll see how it carries on from there.